Hello friends, welcome to another lesson with Miss Gleam for perimeter this week. So yesterday we looked at measurements where we are counting and annotating the sides to make sure that we have the correct perimeter. Let's recap. Perimeter is, give you a minute to think about it. Perimeter is finding the distance around a given object. Okay, so today you can see that our screen looks a little bit different. Here we have different shapes, mostly only rectangles and squares. So my rectangles here have 2 measurements and my squares only have 1 measurement. I'm going to give you a minute to think about why my squares only have 1 measurement, but my rectangles have 2. So take a minute and think about that. Okay, hope that was enough time to share with your sibling or guardian at home. So on a square, we know that all sides are equal. So that's why my square only has 1 measurement, 2 and 3. On a rectangle, we know that there are 2 longer sides and 2 shorter sides. So I have given you the measurement for the length and the width, the longer side and the shorter side, for all 4 rectangles. So now finding the perimeter of these shapes is a little bit different than what we did yesterday. So yesterday we were doing all annotating and counting, which you can always do with this as a as a checking your work. So as a second method, you can always do that. So if I grab my pencil here, I'm going to make sure it's black. If I grab my pencil, I can see for shape, we'll call this shape A, and we'll call U shape B, and C, D, E. Ooh, that's hard to see with the blue, and F on the green. Okay, so let's start with shape B, just because it is a square, and I want to do a square first. So we know this side is 2, and because we know that that squares all have the same equals length sides, we can safely assume and know that each side equals 2. So to find this perimeter, I need to add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So many methods here. You can start 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, add 4 plus 4. You could skip count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8. Many different ways to get to your answer using the numbers at the side here. So I would do 4 plus 4, and I know that that equals 8. That was a good 8. Okay, now let's move on to a different shape where we have 2 different lengths. Now, when given the lengths in a rectangle, you can safely assume, like we did yesterday, that the parallel line, so if I draw a line here, this is my length of the rectangle. I can safely assume that this is going to be the same. And similarly, the width here, that is 2, I can safely assume that down here it will be the same as well. So it saves us a lot of extra counting, right? We don't have to count over here. We just know, oh, that's 5, so this must be 5. And that's 2, so this must be 2. And whoa, what a time saver. So for that, I would add the parallel lines together. I would go 5 plus 5 gives me 10. And then I would go 2 plus 2 gives me 4. I hope you're over there screaming out answers with me, guys. So 10 plus 4 is 14. You got it. So now we know the perimeter of A and the perimeter of B. So let's look at C, and let's use the same logic we just used over here. So we just said that because this length is 3, this over here must also be 3. So let's put that in and write that down. And let's move to our width, so the length of 1, and this must also be 1. And I know with 1, sometimes it's almost tempting to skip it because it's so tiny, but you do have to count that as a length. That is 1 square unit. So now we can safely assume that this is equal to 1. And I'm going to use the same method over here. I'm going to add 3 plus 3, which is 6. Oh, bad 6. And 1 plus 1, which is 2. And when we put those together, we get 8. Awesome. Okay, let's go back to a square, shape D. So same idea as shape B. We can safely assume that all sides are going to be equal. So they're all going to equal 3. And we can always use our checking and making sure afterwards. So let's do a guess, or let's do a check with this, with shape D. So I would do 3 plus 3, which is 6, plus 3 plus 3, which is 6, giving me my total of 12. You could also go 3 plus 3 and count by 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12. Let's double check our answer here and count the outsides with annotating. So let's annotate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we know that this is correct, and we know our other methods must be correct because it does work even when we go back to our method of yesterday of counting each perimeter piece by hand. Okay, let's move on to letter E, another rectangle, and we're going to use our same methods here. So we know that the 2 must be equal to this 2 over here. The sides must be equal, and we know that 4 must be equal to its parallel line down here, which is 4. So we'll add in those measurements, 2, 4, and I'm going to try and fit it up here. 4 plus 4 would be 8. 2 plus 2 would give us 4, and that would give us a total of 12. Awesome. Whoa, we have the same perimeter with 2 totally different shapes. That's pretty cool. And let's look down here at our last shape, okay? So we have 8 and 2 on a rectangle. So I want you guys to think, what do we need to do here? How do we know what this length and this width are? What are we going to do? Starts with a P. We're going to look for the parallel lines. It's all squiggly over here. So the parallel lines remind us and help us to remember that the parallel line over here is equal to its opposite parallel line over here. And 8 would be equal to the line down here, which would give us 8. Okay, we've got some bigger measurements here to add up. So 8 plus 8, so doubles. Hope you guys remember your doubles video, and I hope you're singing it right now for your parents. So doubles. We can add doubles. 8 plus 8 would give us 16 plus 2 plus 2, which would be 4. Ooh, and that is a friend to 10, 6 and 4. So we have 6 and 4, which would give us 10, and another 10 gives us 20. So there we have it. We have used our methods of parallel lines and our knowledge of squares and rectangles to help us find the perimeter of these 6 shapes today. Remember that at the end of each, I skipped over it just for time saver, but we should be checking and annotating each shape even after you've used your measurements and your math. It's just a good way to double check, ooh, did I count that right? Did I add that right? Maybe I'll guess and check. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. Happy Thursday. We're almost at the end of our second week of learning. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Talk to you soon.